This is my PMP4 diagnostics video with 3 games previewed. The first is TicTacToe, the second is Memory, and the third is Simon. We will start by displaying the main menu. Here I've added just a simple game settings and quit button layout. These settings and quit button do not do anything except for their aesthetic purposes. We will go ahead and start with TicTacToe. As you can see, I've included the title, a score input, a visual of the turn, and some player turn text below. As we click, you see that the turn value increments and decrements with each button placed on the board. These squares cannot be clicked once again, so that the instantiated objects will not be replaced. You can see that in the inspector, there is only 2. As I click here on the X one more time, you notice nothing else will spawn. Let's try for a player 1 win value. Notice how my player 1 score value has incremented, but player 2 has stayed the same. My text has also changed from player turn to player win, and it is stuck on the player 1 turn value. Whenever the win condition has been met, the turn value will not increment. When we press the reset button, the board will clear, resetting the turn to 1 and resetting the text to player turn. Let's now try to get a player 2 win. Notice how the player 1 score has stayed the same and the player 2 score has incremented. The turn ID has also stayed at 2, and again the turn text has changed to player win. Let's now try for a tie. Notice how the turn did increment, but our turn text has changed to tie, and the turn value, or the score value, has not incremented in any way. Let me show you some of the code involved in making this. The 3 code scripts are JBS TicTacToe Manager, JBS Clicker, and JBS Marker. I apologize for this mishap. It happens a few times. All I have to do is go into my assets folder, reveal in Finder, delete the CS project file, as well as the PMP4 SLN file. Next, all we must do is reopen a script from inside after closing Visual Studio. Let's open the TicTacToe Manager. Now we will wait for it to build the project file. As you can see, all of our language has been reset as working in the IntelliSense monitor. Let us go over a few of the things in the TicTacToe Manager. First off, here is my credentials and the credits for the script's workings. Notice I am inheriting from the UnityEngine.ui namespace. This is because I am using variable types such as text. The first thing we are doing is setting the score text to display this value. Anytime we change the score text, it will always be changed to this value, string.format with variable / variable2. These 2 variables are displayed here, with player 1 score being initialized at 0 and player 2 score also being initialized at 0. The manager also holds very important methods such as the win check. The win check checks to see if any of the clicker array objects, which are displayed here, a size of 9, this is my clicker array. This is the prefab grid that I've made with each clicker. As you can see, each of the clickers is an individual interactable box inside of the squares of the grid. This win check is checking to see if the clicker value, with the index that I've given it, has an entry value of either player 1 or player 2. If it has all of the player 1 win conditions met, these 3 lines being the horizontal conditions, these 3 lines being the vertical conditions, and these 2 lines being the 2 diagonal conditions, then we initiate the player 1 winning method. This only does a incrementation of the player 1 score, sets the score text, changes game win to true, and changes the reset button to be active. The text is now displayed as player win, as shown in the game previously. Once we've set the reset button, it will do a few things to clean up our mess. The first, it will find each JBS marker, as found here. Notice how this does not have anything. This is because this is only used as an identifier and identify a class. I'm using it only on 2 different things, the player O and the player X prefabs. This is for quick identification inside of scripts. I go and find each JBS marker, go, in all of the JBS markers in the scene, and then I destroy that game object. This cleans up the grid. Next, I have to reset the values of clicked and entry value in each of the clickers of the clicker box array. Should I not change this entry value back to 0, the immediate first time that I click any of the boxes on the second round, it will immediately set off the win condition. The next thing I do is change game win back to false, because game win, along with clicked, are actually the 2 variables that control the flow of these methods inside of the clickers. Notice how only if the button has not been clicked and the game has not been won will we instantiate a piece when clicking on a box. Notice how my blocks of code are separated on mouse down and mouse up. This is because I want each interaction to trigger different events. This allows me to control the flow of my code a little bit better. The next thing I do is reset the turn count to 1. One of the last things is setting the player dialog text back to player turn. And the last thing is setting the reset button to inactive. One thing I have forgotten to do, which I will do now, is reset the button, activate the reset button when getting a tie. I did not do that before. Let's go ahead and test it now. After letting it compile and load, we will try and play. Let's go ahead and tie. Excellent! It has shown the reset button, and everything works accordingly. This has been the TicTacToe video of my PMP4 diagnostic event. Thank you for watching.